Penguins hockey season is upon us tomorrow. They have other teams are making their final choices for their roster for opening night. And the Penguins have made their thing, and welcome to Penguin Chat Season 4. Yep, we're on Season 4, which is kind of hard to believe, but here are the Penguins' rosters for forwards, defensemen, and for their opening night. And I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions what I think how the Pens will do this season. For forwards, we've got Josh Archibald returning. We have him from the 2017 Cup run. He's going to play bottom six role. We have Jason Zucker in his final year of the contract with us since we acquired him after the Alex Galchenyuk trade to Minnesota. Returning, who I didn't think would return, is Bryan Rust, which is unbelievable. Because earlier last season, I thought Rust was gone because they had to resign Malkin, Ricard, Raquel, and Letang. But Hextall managed to do it. So, yeah. He will be in the top six, either playing with Crosby on first line or second line with Malkin, and I think he's going to play on the second line with Jason Zucker on the other wing. For the first line, I could see Crosby, always first line centerman, Getzel on the wing, one of the wings, and Ricard Raquel. This is going to be interesting since we're going to have him for a full season. I really think he can do some damage in a full season with Crosby and Getzel. Anyway, Ryan Poulin, who's brand new to the Penguins, is going to be playing a bottom six role. Mostly just as an extra forward in case injuries happen. Probably be on fourth line. Kasperi Kapanen, he should be very grateful the Pens gave him a 2-year contract. And he was expected to be a core contributor in the top six, but he had a really bad year last year and was almost traded, so he should be very grateful the Penguins gave him a contract. But I hope he can put up 15 goals, possibly pushing the 20 if things went really well. But if things don't work out, this is not going to be good for the Penguins. Anyway, Danton, Danton. I thought he was leaving last season, Danton Heinen, but he did manage to put up 38 points and 15 goals and was a good contributor in the bottom six, and I feel like he will make a good asset on the third line for the bottom six on the wing. So yeah, I think he'll play well. Then we have Teddy Blueger, who's going to be the fourth line centerman. Probably most likely leaving after this season. Blueger has been a good asset for bottom centermen after being mentored by Matt Collin in the 2018-19 season. And with Collin retired now with the Pens, he's been a good help mentoring the younger people for fourth line centermen. Next up, last year's leading scorer for the Pens, who put up 40 goals, 84 points. Jake Getzel, not much to say about him. It's been really good. Probably their best young player in years since that he had a really good run in 2017. Helped them win the Cup in 2017. 18 had a good season. 19 had a really good season. 2020 was on pace to put good points up in 1920, but we all know what happened. The COVID pandemic hit. So yeah, shortened season. Had 23 goals in 2020-21 because of another short season. Anyway, so this will be the Pens' second full season since 2019 for Getzel, and I predict he'll be scoring 40 goals again and be leader in points. So, and with Crosby at center, they are good chemistry, so predicted to do well. Next up, I already mentioned Ricard Raquel. I feel like he's going to put up 20, possibly 30 goals since he'll be playing with Crosby for Malkin on the first or second line. And I feel like a healthy year, he'll do pretty well. Well, one thing I forgot to mention about Jason Zucker, he's had trouble staying healthy and scoring the last 2 seasons, but if he stays healthy, I think he could come in handy really good for the Pens, because they need him. They need Zucker to score and do well this year, because he's most likely out of a Penguins uniform this season. Anyway, next up, the second best player on the team, Evgeny Malkin, assistant captain, second line centerman, who also has had trouble staying healthy the last 2 seasons, who usually gets hurt every season. Like, he put up 20 goals last season. Plus, if he can stay healthy, I think he put up 25 to 30 goals this season. For an older player, like, he's out of his prime now. He's 37 or 38, I think. So, yeah. No, I think he's 36 to 37. But anyway, Malkin's older now. He's getting older. So, yeah. If he stays healthy, I feel like he could put up 25 goals to 30 goals. We'll see what happens, but he needs to stay healthy and hopefully have a good year. Don't want to say monstrous year, because his best years are behind him now. Anyway, next up, Jeff Carter, good for veteran leadership, third line centerman, put up 45 points and 18 goals last season. He's showing out like he can still play and still has some gas left in the tank, which we have him for 2 more seasons, which I hope he can repeat of that, but he is older and aging. He's not getting any younger. And he's been a great pickup that Hextall picked up. Like, when we're down, like, unexpectedly, he will help tie it up, or when a team's up by a few goals, he'll cut the lead. But he is older, like, he doesn't have speed anymore. Well, I don't think he ever... Even though a hockey player is not really fast, you do have some speed and you just very little. But Carter is a 2-time Stanley Cup champion with the LA Kings. And like I said, Hextall did a good job picking this guy up. But to make the trade really worth it would be to win the Stanley Cup. But just hope he can still has gas left in the tank. And next up, our best franchise player of all time, the captain, the one that has helped lead us to 3 Stanley Cups, one in 2009, second one in 2016, and the third one in 2017. And it put up 30 goals, put up 84 points, and at 34, about to be 35 in August in 2023, which will be the off season of that season. But Crosby is still showing that he can play extremely well, help contribute, lead a team, even after all these years since the Penguins last won the Stanley Cup. He's still showing it that he's the top first-line centerman for the Penguins. Score impossible goals, do fantastic plays at the age of 34. I believe Crosby will put up 31 or 32 goals, set up some good plays, and will be second in scoring, because I think he's going to stay healthy. And in third place in scoring, I feel will be Evgeny Malkin if he stays healthy. And last thing for Rust, I forgot to mention, I feel like he's going to put up 30 goals for the first time ever in his career. He's been close, but shortened seasons and injuries have kept him from it. So yeah, that's our forwards. So one last thing I'll say for the forwards, I predict Crosby, center, first line, Getzel on wing, Rickard Rakell on the other wing, Malkin, second line centerman with Rust and Zucker, Jeff Carter with Kasperi Kapanen and Danton Heinen, Teddy Blueger, Brock McGinn, and Josh Archibald. My prediction for why that's for Mike Sullivan opening night after he's been re-signed for another few years, which I'm surprised for Sullivan. But anyway, I'll get to why I'm surprised. For defense, we have Chad Ruhwedel, a veteran defenseman, bottom defenseman that mostly plays in case there's injuries and like major injuries, and will play in case it's a big game, like a do or die, because he has some experience. Brian Dumo, who's been really good, one of my favorites from the 2016 and 2017 Cup runs, two-time Stanley Cup champion. But I feel like he's gone this season, Pens fans. Even if we were to win it all, I feel like he's playing his last year in a Penguins uniform. Anyway, I think he's going to be second pair this time, and they're going to pair Jeff Petrie, new with the Penguins, we got from Montreal after we traded Mike Matheson to the Montreal Canadiens. I feel like he's going to be a top pair because he's a veteran, way older. And I feel like he's going to be paired with our best defenseman, Chris Letang, who had a career season points last year, 68 points. So I predict that's going to be the pairing. And Marcus Pettersson, I think, will be paired with Dumo, which I'm surprised he wasn't traded last year because of cap issues. But so yeah, second pair, I predict Marcus and Brian Dumo. I would like to see Dumo with Letang because they have had experience before. But I feel like Sullivan's going to change up his style with these new players in the lineup. So yeah. But anyway, for the third and final pair, I predict it's most likely Jan Rata and P.O. Joseph. I think P.O. Joseph's going to have a better role this season, a bigger role, since he's young and our best defenseman prospect that we got in the when we traded Phil Kessel away to Arizona 3 years ago. So I feel like he's going to contribute some decent, good this season, P.O. Joseph, and probably make his way up maybe to second pair. If things go right, I feel like he's going to have a good year. So yeah, that's our defenseman. And for goalies, we have Tristan Jarry for starter and Casey Smith, who's a solid backup, who's been a solid backup for the Pens and their second goaltender since Matt Murray left in the 2020 offseason. But Smith was the backup for Murray when 2018 started. In 2019, he was for a bit, but then Jarry took over in 2020. It was battle for the starter spot between Jarry and Murray, and we all know what happened. And for Tristan Jarry, young goaltender, not young, like 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, but I think if things go right, he will put up 30-something plus wins this season. And when it came to Smith, I thought he was gone last season because I thought the Penguins were going to upgrade their backup, but I guess I was wrong. But anyway, so yeah, these are our forwards, defense, and goalies for the opening night. And I've made my predictions for the lineups and for goals and all that, but in points. But what really do I think how the Pens will do this season? Well, they got their top six from last year. And if they're going to do well, they're going to need to have a good, strong start. And you got to also remember, guys, Crosby, Malkin, and Letang are three best players and veteran players that have been with us for a long, long time. They're not getting any younger. Letang is 35, Malkin's 37, or I think he's 36, I could be wrong. Crosby is now 34, about to be 35. They're entering their mid to late 30s, and they still have shown they can play well, but they're not going to win any NHL awards. Those days are now over. So yeah, how I think it will go if everything goes well and they play good, like strong ends through halfway. But they're going to need their top six to contribute. Jason Zucker to stay healthy on the second line for Malkin. And their bottom six is going to have to contribute a lot because they really struggled with the bottom six last year. Like they had Jeff Carter, who was showing he still has gas left in the tank, but we'll have to see this season how he does, like, if things go well. Kasperi Kapanen's going to have to put up, like, 15 to 20 goals this season and actually produce, or I don't think he'll be playing with the Pens much longer. Daniel Hayton played pretty well last year. I feel like he'll, like I said, is going to contribute good. But they made some changes to their bottoms. Depth players, like Brian Boyle's now gone. Other players have been sent to the minors that were here last year and been replaced. Others have been claimed off waivers. And some didn't resign and some were traded for Rickard Rakell. Thankfully, like, because some of them, like Dominic Simone, was not producing, and I don't know why they brought him back last season, but so yeah. Bottom six needs to contribute, not just in the regular season, and the playoffs if they make it. Top six needs to stay healthy, like I said. Zucker needs to score more goals this season. Defense, which is older now. Pittsburgh's now the oldest team for current players in the hockey for number one. I think the Caps are like 3-point-something years younger, but after them adding Jeff Petrie, Dumo is 31 now. So yeah, Petrie is 35 plus. So yeah, this is a way older Penguins team this year, and how I think they'll do in a standing spot, I predict they'll either finish fourth, which be a wild card spot, or I think they'll finish third. Knowing the Pens, they would like to try to get home ice advantage, finishing second, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Because let's see, Carolina is going to be contending for years to come. New York is a young team. They're deadly after losing them in Game 7, the Rangers. They might finish first or second. And the Islanders, I feel like they're going to try to make their way back into the playoffs and finish second or third this season. And the reason why I pick a wild card spot is because, like I said, Crosby and Malkin are getting older. This is an older Penguins team. So yeah. If they finish a wild card, they might. My prediction would have to be Carolina or Rangers, because I feel like the Rangers are going to be in first this time for their division. Igor Shesterkin is going to be really good. If they were to finish in the second wild card spot in the East, they would either have to face, my prediction is the Florida Panthers or the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to finish first in the Atlantic Division, and that would be really tough. But my predictions, if things are up to a slow start, is and continue to go, this could be a year the Pens miss the playoffs for the first time since 2005-06 season. The Pens usually, we've known for years, the last few years, that they struggle, but somehow still manage halfway and near the end to win and get into the playoffs. But this year's going to be very difficult because how hungry teams and younger teams are going to be for the Metro and the Atlantic Division. So, but a lot of people say you should never count out when the Pens have Crosby, Malkin, and Letang. True. We've seen this team look dead, but then get into the playoffs, like I said. But this one's going to be very difficult, and it's going to be challenging this season when older Penguins team and more veterans than ever, and they don't have much for prospects left coming up except for P.O. Joseph, Samuel Poulin, and a few others, but their prospects are pretty much nothing. Because they've been going all in, trading their first pick almost every season in their best prospect. And they have kept the band together, which shows that they want to contend for at least one more Stanley Cup or two, but I think they most likely can only win one more. And they want to get Crosby and Malkin their fourth cup, and Letang. But it's going to be difficult, like I said. And if they do make the playoffs or finish in second or third, which I don't think it's going to happen, that they probably will trade Samuel Poulin, P.O. Joseph, and other good prospects, whatever good prospects they have left, and their first or second round pick for a cup run. Either for this year, if things go really well, or next year, but Pens don't have, the way it's looking for, as time goes on, the window's closing, or it's been slammed shut. We've had, as a Pens fan who started watching in the late season, which is kind of hard to believe, I've been watching for that long, oh my god, I feel old. My first season was when they went to the finals and lost to the Red Wings, which is just hard to believe. It's been that long. Then the next year they won the Stanley Cup, which was crazy to think when I said maybe next year they'll win it after being sad that they lost. But the Pens have had a good run. I love the memories they've given us, each season, ups and downs, the back-to-back championships. It's been one hell of a ride seeing the Crosby and Malkin era, and I only missed the first 2 years because I didn't have a team yet when I was really young. But eventually, it's going to have to come to an unfortunate end. We've been lucky, Pens fans, to see 3 cups with our main 3 guys. And when we had Marc-Andre Fleury, it's been one hell of a ride, but eventually the era is going to come to an end. So if they don't make the playoffs, I feel like they'll make some changes this season. Trade players that are leaving. You wouldn't get much for them, maybe just a second or third pick, or a fourth pick. But anyway, if they do make the playoffs this year and for next season, or should I say this season, my expectations and what I think everyone's expecting for them is to win the first round, make it past the first round. If they were to make it past the second round, then I'll talk about possibly winning the cup. But they haven't won a playoff series since Game 6 at Philadelphia in 2018. And they haven't made it past the second round since 2017. But the main focus, if they get in, is getting into the playoffs, and if they make it, is to make it past the first round, because they haven't won a playoff series in nearly 5 years. If they make it, it will be 5 years since they last won a playoff series. Anyway, these are my thoughts on all the players and what's coming up in the predictions.